Muy buenas tardes a todos, mi nombre es Maryna soy presidente de Mujeres Liberales Argentinas y esta tarde tenemos hoy con ustedes a la señora Maryna Rusia Shukiurava, es peor que mi apellido, de Bielorrusia, acompañándonos esta tarde, contándonos cómo se ha ido desarrollando el feminismo luego de la caída de la Unión Soviética en el año 91 allí. Los invito, la entrevista va a ser en inglés y posteriormente será traducida al castellano. Los invito a quedarse con nosotros, no se vayan. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we will be introducing Mrs. Maryna Rusia Shukiurava from Belarus. This lady, I have met her on our seminar 1 or 2 months ago due to an invitation of the Noman Foundation.
Yeah, Friedrich Neumann, right.
Yeah, right. The Noman Foundation has invited us, both of us, to be part of a female leaders seminar, and I have had the pleasure to meet her with other 26 ladies, and I've listened to her and her story, and I decided to share it with my country, my people, and all of our followers. Hi, Maryna, how are you doing? I would love to invite you to introduce yourself. Would that be all right for you?
Yes. Hi, Maria. I'm fine. Thank you very much for the invitation. For me, it's very important to spread the honest information about situation in Belarus because, of course, we have so many problems all over the world and it's impossible to keep the topic of Belarus up all the time. So for me, it's a big chance to speak a little bit about the situation, about feminism in my country, and to get your feedback and support of world women community. So thank you so much, Maria, for this opportunity. What concerns me, I call myself Rusia. This is my stage name. In Belarus, I'm a very famous singer and cultural agent. During the last 20 years, I was the singer who is gathering the traditional female songs which were sang by pagan women in rituals, and I'm studying this ancient culture and bring this culture into techno, electronic music and give it the second life in front of the young audience. So my aim is to bring Belarusian people face to face to our roots and culture and to know, to understand ourselves better, because we are a very beautiful nation which is having a hard times at the moment. Professionally, I'm working as a vocal therapist, a musician, singer, a voice-over actor, and as a role model and as an active woman in Belarus, I'm working with different foundations and organizations as the civil activist, the woman who is keeping the feministic issues up in this society.
Perfect. I will do a little bit of history and ask you something in particular regarding how the society in Belarus has reacted. Belarusia and Lithuania were part of the Russian Empire after Poland was partitioned in the 1700s and became a constituent republic of the Soviet Union in 1922. With the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, the democratic leader, Stanislav Shushenko, became head of state. A pro-Russian parliament ousted Shushkevich in 1994, and the newly created post of president was won by Lukenska. President Alexander Lukenska assumed power in 1994. He had harassed and expelled dissidents, repressed the news, media, reintroduced a command economy, and obtained passage of a constitution to strengthen his one-man rule. My question is, how did the Belarusian people support 26 years of dictatorship under Alexander Lukenska?
So the surname of this person is Lukashenko, but I, Maria, like the way you pronounce it. It sounds like Ceausescu a little bit. It gives us a hint of the history. Lukashenko, yeah. So this question is quite popular, and people are wondering how it could happen, how it could be lasting for 26 years of his rule, and only now the people are protesting. Actually, we had protests against Lukashenko almost from the very beginning of his rule. Why? Because those people who were involved into politics, those people who had good education in the sphere of politics, economics, history, they were seeing the situation is not right from the very beginning. But during the whole time of being a president, Lukashenko is still trying to press everyone who has just a tiny chance, a tiny power to shake the water in the bowl. What was going on? The main famous and the main powerful oppositional political leaders were killed, were broken into prison, were squeezed out of the country, and actually we had lost the most powerful political figures because of that action. And we still have many questions to Mr. Lukashenko about the journalists and military people who just disappeared, and their families are still looking for them. And everybody can guess what is going on in reality, where and why these people disappeared. And during the whole reign of Mr. Lukashenko, people were protesting. We had several splashes of activities, and all those splashes, every presidential elections were pressed very hard. But in this year, when there were so many people out on the streets, the pressing was too hard. It was, I think, the most hardest during the whole life of Mr. Lukashenko as the president of Belarus. My message,
Maryna,
yes.
This can't be done without Russian support.
Of course, Russia is supporting Lukashenko, and we all have this experience to watch how the political game is played between Lukashenko and Putin. And of course, we are swallowed by Russian empire, even from the point of content which our people are absorbing. I mean, the media, TV, newspapers, we are full of Russian content. And it's very hard to find your way and to come to the big society of Belarus if you are doing something local. For example, being a musician, for me, it was very hard to knock into the cellar like, oh, I want to go upper. And in independent circles, I have so many awards, so many good things about my musical career, how I'm trying to give the traditional language like a new life and so on. But from the point of the government, all my efforts, they are not included into account at all. Even being a musician, it's very hard to stay in Belarus and to develop yourself, because if you want to be on TV, you have to serve the regime, like to create songs like, haha, we're so happy, our president is so cool. You know, it reminds a little bit of North Korea with this praise of the president, of the leader. And from this point of view, it's not so easy, yes. And Russian support is everywhere, in politics, in content, in economy, in cultural codes, everywhere.
How do young people and women react to this?
To support of Russia, or to the situation which is going on now?
To the whole situation.
During 26 years, the government was trying to destroy the language. I mean that obviously. So if you will have a look at the situation, you will still see the signs written in Belarusian language on the walls, for example, the name of the streets, or you will still see the annual festival, which is called Dazhinki. This festival is devoted to traditional culture, but this is all these activities are such a fake, because the system of education was changed. The Belarusian language was changed to be more simple for Russians. So the rules inside the language were changed a little bit just to make it more easy for Russians to be understandable. The educational program was changed. I mean that the attention to Belarusian language, literature and culture was made so small, until the Russian culture, language, literature and even Chinese language is so big now. In this situation, during the 26 years, it is very difficult now to feel that Belarusian language still is serving its communicating aim. I mean that the language is still alive, but in the circles of educated people, of people who are taking care of national roots, I mean that Belarusian language now is the language of intelligentsia. And it is happening because we don't have the right attention to Belarusian nationality, language, literature, culture at schools. We're full of Russian context. How did young people and women reacted to that? How they are still reacting? We had a very big, really huge hole, a deep hole into relationship with Belarusian national ethnical codes like language, culture, and so on. And due to enthusiasts, especially the ethnomusicologists, those people who are still keeping Belarusian language alive, the researchers of traditional culture, only due to the power of these enthusiastic people, we have like the wave of interest to Belarusian language and culture now at the moment, in politics, everywhere, at schools, on the streets. Personally, me as a musician, I was working about 10 years just to build this bridge as an artist between traditional stuff and young people. And now many people, they really sing the songs and they go to the concerts and they see me, a lady who is open-minded, happy, sexy, speaking Belarusian language, and young people want to be like that a little bit. I'm like a role model here. And what concerns Belarusian women, I should underline that in our traditional culture, of course, because of wars and so many crises, but actually what we have, the Belarusian ladies, women, they were keeping the traditional singing culture alive due to Belarusian women, grandmas in villages, mothers in these groups of choir singing for the beginners in the city and so on. Due to women, we still have these traditional cultural codes alive. So at the moment, we have a very big wave of attention to Belarusian language and culture because of the situation. And now, before, if people were interested in Belarusian stuff because it was something, it's becoming more popular, this is so fashionable, maybe I would love to touch this topic. But at the moment, people want to make a line, like the border between I am Belarusian, I'm for new changes, I am for new Belarus, and those people, they're more oriented into traditional culture, language, Belarusian content, And the other side, those who we call Yabatka. I'm the follower of Lukashenko, it means actually. So we have like the split in the society into two groups, those who are pro-Belarusian and those who are
pro-Russia.
Pro-Russia. Yeah, and now this border is very sharp, even inside the families. I'm sure that this circle of history is common for so many countries, for so many societies.
The differences between old people and young people. I mean, I wonder that, or I think that old people support this type of regime instead.
Not really. What can I say? I was thinking about it because at the moment I'm living in political immigration at the Ukraine, and my old grandma and grandpa, they're living in Belarus, and they were voting for Lukashenko all the time. But even they are so frightened now. Even today, before I was coming to your interview, I've got the news that in Belarus, a couple of guys, husband and wife, they were taken to jail because they were writing to each other in family chat about the situation in Belarus. Somehow this data was stolen and a couple is in prison just for sharing their opinion.
Terrible.
Yes, the old generation is frightened very much. And even now they are just taking away, these, how do we call it, pink glasses and see the reality. And for them, it's very convenient. I mean, even not convenient, it's very safe. I mean, ecological, not to take away these pink glasses too far, because it may just blow the mind. They will realize that for 26 years, they were just used for votes. And I would like to continue the thought. And what concerns young generation, why do we have such a huge activity on the streets this year? Because so many young people have opportunity to go to other countries and to see how the normal world is functioning, how the democratic society is built, how do people live, what is going on with feminism, what is going on with societies like, I don't know, in Germany, in Holland, Netherlands, in
and
Sweden.
Due to the nets, I mean, due to internet, you can't do anything about that.
Yeah, for example, I don't know, even the Netflix series about the modern family. Yeah, people see that there are so many areas. Yeah, there are so many differences. And what we have in Belarus, this level is very undeveloped. And young people, they don't want to live in this level, at this level. That's why we have a huge amount of people who are just leaving the country. And we have a meme, these memes into internet. We have the meme with the note, like the last note at the airport in Belarus, like, please, the last who is leaving the country, turn out the light. Turn off the light, yeah.
I want to ask you another question, may I?
Yes, sure.
As far as I understand, people in Belarus has freedom of religion. And the main religion is the Orthodox Church, isn't it? As in Serbia. Which is the role of the Orthodox Church in this government? Do they support this type of government?
Yes, Orthodox Church supports the government, and the government supports Orthodox Church with the taxes. So the representatives of Orthodox churches may do everything they want with very slight tax politics. Yes, so actually they pay just a small amount or pay nothing. Nowadays, the so-called government, I don't accept Lukashenko as the government. For me, it's like the bandits, the criminals, but let's call it so-called. Belarusian government is changing the educational program at the moment. Attention! The representatives of Orthodox Church will influence the educational program in schools. Now, in some schools, they want to invite the Orthodox Church representative to spend the whole school day with children and to speak with them about God, not to speak about sex, not to speak about politics or human rights, but about God. For me, it's a big disaster, not because I'm not a religious person, but for me, it's not healthy just to keep young minds into this structure of religion. We need to provide them with the full range of information and let them make the choice. What do they want to do in their life? To be believers or unbelievers, to be gay, to be straight, whatever. We need to provide young generation with the full range of information. This is my huge, big value, access to information. We had some protests from the side of Catholic Church. The main active representatives of Catholics are punished by the government as well.
Interesting.
Yes, the Catholics, they are against the regime of Lukashenko, but they are all punished. For example, one of the Catholic priests was not allowed to enter Belarus because of his interviews in media and so on. If some public figures are producing messages against the regime, they are punished, they are taken away from the country, they are not allowed to come into the country, or they are taken to prison.
I understand. Maryna, which are the most important economic activities in Belarus? Then I will tell you why do I ask you this question.
So we cannot be sure about the truth because in Belarus the law doesn't work. The statistics are false. So, but if to follow Belarusian statistics, we are selling milk products, then some farmer products like wheat, bread, and the special thing, I don't know this word in English, it's like kalium or some chemicals. So kalium. It's some kalium, I will check maybe.
It's uranium.
No, this is something
Is it a mineral?
Mineral, yeah.
Is it a mineral? Okay, but I was asking you this because I've been posted in Serbia for 2 or 3 years after Yugoslavia has been divided. And I understood how the United States and the ONU got into the ex-Yugoslavia because, as far as I understand, even though it seemed a religious difference in this country, for me the main problem was the oil, the pumps and the nets of oil that are beneath the earth. And that the states wanted to explode. That is why I think that was the main reason why the United States got into Yugoslavia. And I was thinking, why didn't you have external support? Do you understand?
Do you mean Yugoslavia? Why didn't they have support from other countries?
I do. I think that they had, yes, of course. They had 40, in one same city, Serbia, has been bombed during 45 different times. The city was totally destroyed. And the ONU, international how is
International
it?
World Organization.
That's International World Organization puts funds and any type of support that the people would need to erase again the country. That was why I was thinking which was the most important economic activity in Belarus. And what happens with women? Because in the Eastern countries, there is a very particular business regarding Slavic women, young Slavic women. Do you know what I'm speaking about?
Do you mean about human trafficking of young women?
Of prostitution and selling organs. Both of this type of business. That was why I was asking if any of these items is being seen in your country too or not.
No, I actually don't see this situation like human trafficking or prostitution. We had a big media scandal about Lukashenko that he was, he was loving to spend a time with young Belarusian ladies, like the winners of the most beautiful girl of this university, or the girls from the circus, the most famous gymnastic ladies, and so on. And we had a huge school, a really famous school of models, and those young models, they were very often invited to Lukashenko's house. And that was the point of huge media scandal. But the man, the owner of this model school, he was taken to prison for his interview about this situation. Oh. Yeah, and not long ago he was released and he was giving a series of interviews again. But of course, at the moment, he's not at the territory of Belarus. He's living away in a safe place where he can express himself to media. What concerns prostitution, I see this problem inside the country because our women are mostly poor. The average salary at the moment is about $200, $300. I have no idea how women are keeping children. We have many single mothers, divorced mothers, and I have no idea how do they pay all the bills. And I know the stories when women, they have nothing to eat, and all what they have is just money to bring children with underground train from home to school, from school to home, and to give them some simple food. The parents are not eating by themselves, and the friends are helping with food. And today I was having a call to one of the ladies, to one of my friends who is still staying in Belarus. And she says that the situation is getting worse because the government needs money to pay for the policemen, for the militaries who are keeping peace in the streets, but it's not peaceful time at all. I have no any friend who stayed in Belarus at the moment who was not in jail at least for a couple of days. It seems that the whole country is in jail at the moment. So we have another problem. We cannot impose the changes into the law about home violence. And Lukashenko is not ready to accept these changes just to defend female rights and children's rights more. And when feministic politicians are trying to bring these new ideas, Lukashenko says like, no, women should give birth to children, to cook food, to
Right.
serve the needs of,
That's it.
yeah, and to serve the needs of husband when he came back home after the hard working day. And of course, we have some women in politics. Look, like 2 or 3 women, pro-Lukashenko politicians, okay. But you see, in fact, we have some women in parliament and so on. But actually, the situation is very bad. And even those initiatives who are trying to help women, the victims of home violence, they are hiding themselves. They cannot show their faces, their names. They are changing the houses, the house of shelter, I mean the shelter for this kind of women and their children, and even helping to women, to victims of home violence. Those activists, actually they're women, these women activists, they have to hide their activity in this area. So I'm not talking about the intention to impose something new to law, to constitution. It's very difficult to move. And at the moment, if we will have a look at our voted president, Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, even with her, it's quite difficult to promote the feministic issues because she is surrounded by men, the main manager, the main, the man who is giving advices.
Yeah.
The special like advice or the manager on all the assessor, all those positions they are taken by men, and some questions are given to women, but like education stuff, female rights stuff, so something for the girls. So
yeah,
that's the situation. We are living in patriarchaic society in Belarus, unfortunately.
It happens all around the world, but we are fighting, and you are not alone, my dear. Tell me one thing. Can you tell us how women explore the learning experiences and the practices as managers in Belarus who are working in small and medium-sized business enterprises?
Do you want me to analyze if women are good at the position of manager?
First, if they have the possibility to gain those positions or not, and how do they do it, and how do they feel like being in those posts?
Yes, our women, they have access to these posts. These posts are not very expensive. I mean, they don't give like a huge money. And we have the difference between male and female fees. Yes, the money for the job. And of course, we have opportunity for women to build up business, to rule the business, but all those businesses, they're very small. Like a small company with not a huge income. The most fat pieces of business are taken by Lukashenko's family and friends, and they are all men.
I understand. Yeah.
Of course, you may open, I don't know, for example, your private singing school. You may open a cafe, a restaurant, or an online shop or something. But actually, we have this situation, but the government keeps the level of like affordable level of income. I don't know exactly the number, but just in my imagination, let's create the sum. Like if your income is over than, for example, $100,000 per month, if it's higher, you have the attention of the government. Like, wow, hey, you have so much, guy, let's share it with us, and we will be your friends. So if to speak about big money and big business, no, it's all taken by Lukashenko family and friends, by his company.
Yeah, no, you are under a socialist government.
Yeah.
And my last question is related to education, to the education system. Mm-hmm. How is it structured you have spoken a little bit about this, since Russia has put all the structure of education in the Belarus educational system. Can you develop this?
Yes, I can give some comments. Yes, which will be quite vivid about the situation. So we have the history classes, and the history of Belarus was rewritten by the President Lukashenko, and now his point of view on the history is shared with children in the school. He had changed many facts. So he created his own history, put it into book of history, and brought it to the school. So there are no comments anymore. Now he is trying to bring the Orthodox priest to every school, just to keep children closer to religion. I'm not against, but for me it's too much. Children needs to have a choice. Then many actual and modern Belarusian poems, books were just taken away from the program of education. If you will have a look at the literature for the school kids, you will see mostly Soviet Russian books, which is actually not to date. It's very old. And as a nation, we have to feel our roots. We have to study the actual writers, poets, artists, musicians, whatever, to feel who we are at this part of time of our history. But we don't have access to that. We are imposed to believe in God, to go to church, to believe in the history which was rewritten by Lukashenko, and to praise him. He's such a good father for us, like he calls himself. I'm your father, but he's not. He's a stepfather who is violating the whole nation for so many years.
Maryna, how did you get in touch with the Noman Foundation? Or how did they contacted you?
As a singer, I was involved into oppositional political movements since I was 18 years old, when I was allowed by law to enter all this movement. It was in 1998. So when I was first involved into these political movements, I was really shocked to realize what is going on. And I'm a political activist in Belarus, and that's why I am in touch with many foundations, with many projects. As a singer who is promoting the Belarusian root feministic singing culture, I'm quite famous in the countries near Belarus, like Lithuania, Poland, Ukraine at the same time. And when I came here, the media in Kyiv, they were attracted by my figure, and I was giving so many interviews about the situation in Belarus, about feminism, about the role of women into protest and revolution. And that's how the foundation has noticed me, and we met to each other. We had several meetings, and I was telling about myself, about my activities, and that's how our contact has started. And then we met with you and this wonderful project, and I'm so happy to know you, and I'm so glad that you invited me today. It's very important for me. Thank you.
You know that we are a group of 26 women all around the world with different stories, with these different stories of life and different wars in our own countries, but with one same objective: to see women and people free around the world, choosing freely. And that is for me the most important light that this program has shown us, and these bonds of friendship should be worked and shared all around the world. I will open the questions to the people that are listening to you.
Mm-hmm.
It is 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Argentina. Everybody's working, but these people are here to listen to you. I will share this interview at night, at 8 o'clock at night, but I'm sure that they will be loving to have the possibility to make their questions. So let's open the questions to them.
Okay. Yes. So if you will have any questions.
I will ask first in Spanish. Bárbara, Marta, Mariana, Francisco, ¿alguien de ustedes quisiera hacer alguna pregunta a Maryna?
Yo tengo una pregunta, ¿cómo gustaría hacer?
Dale. En inglés, por favor.
Sí, por supuesto. Well, I do have a question regarding the feminist movements that are developing in the east of Europe. I was speaking with my friends about the different movements that in the East Europe had regarding feminism, and the last one that we knew, or the most recent that we knew about, was the Soviet feminism movement. I would like to ask you, Maryna, what movements have been developing in the last 20 years? Because in the end, the USSR finished, or yes, it dissolved 20 years ago or more. So I would like to ask you which kind of movements you have seen, if you have participated on, and do you see them, if you have seen that develop at least
yes.
in Belarus.
Yeah, thank you very much, Francisco, for your interpretation, for your translating, and thank you for the question. Yes, I may define some trends. Obviously, we have the trend of emancipated businesswoman, single mom, the single lady who is out of the usual family system. I mean, like the single lady with a single partner. They may have a child, but she's developing her own career and he's developing his own career. So we have this new model of feminism, female emancipation. Will you translate it first, and then I will continue?
Don't worry, continue.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Don't translate it.
Mm-hmm. Another trend which I see is the female rights. We have small educational projects. I want to underline that for us it's very difficult to move this topic inside Belarus, because it's not interesting for the government. It's very difficult to get money for realization, especially money from abroad, which if we have some money from abroad, Lukashenko thinks, oh, they are spies, they will kill you. Maybe this is money for guns or something. So it's very difficult to get finances. So our projects are small, but what I definitely see, it's female rights education, sexual education, and LGBTI vector as well. We have many activists in this area. LGBTI, female emancipation, female business, like businesswoman, female rights and sexual education, and family violence, home violence issue, which is oriented, which is, how to say, which is contacted to a woman, first of all, not to a man, because we have the problem with alcohol addiction in male part of society, which is very high.
Well, that was interesting. So you're telling us that the domestic violence is related in some way, at least partially, with the alcohol issues that are present in the male.
It is cultural.
Yeah, it's cultural because
it is cultural, even though they love drinking. How do you say this? It is a white liquor done of plums.
Vodka, samagon, distillate.
It is the same white liquor that is it is sold in Serbia. They drink.
So actually, our men, they drink. I call it psychedelic wine. I mean the wine of very cheap quality, like for $1 or $2, €2 per bottle. And when evening comes in cheap sleeping districts, you know, where there are no shops or TV galleries or something like that, cinemas, cafes, bars, just the sleeping districts. When sun comes down, zombies are going out, and we have a huge problem of male alcoholism, alcohol addiction in our society. That's why we have a big number of divorces, single mothers, and emancipated women. This is also one of the reasons. And the alcohol business is the business of Lukashenko family again. So he sells it and he is regulating the level of alcohol. But when the society is drunk, it's very easy to push every revolution down.
And you mentioned before, that's interesting, the idea, not the idea, the fact that there is a huge problem regarding alcoholism in Belarus. Yeah. I would like to ask also, for example, from the women emancipation, how the elder women sees that movement, that feminism movement, because you mentioned before that the society in Belarus it's actually divided by pro-regime or pro-democratics, pro-Belarus.
It depends personally on each person, but generally only in this year elderly women, like the women who are retired, the pensioners, we call them, yes, the people who are not working but who are getting pension. The pensioners, they went out, they saw how many women were on streets, how many children, families, and we have a special, how to say, a special group, a protesting group, the pensioners, mostly women, like 2 or 3% are men and the majority are women. They are coming out, they walk on the street and they are asking for, how to say, they are asking for forgiveness. Can you imagine? They have these posters like, women, forgive us, we made such a bad choice 26 years ago, this is our fault what we are coming through the situation, you women are so brave, our daughter, we respect you so much, please forgive us. And when I saw these posters at the first time, I was crying. It was too
strong.
Too strong, yes, a very strong message. So, but I'm talking about the capital of the country, of course. If you will ask my grandma, who is making, I don't know, potatoes and tomatoes at her land in a small village house, for her it's feminism. I don't give a on it. I don't understand what's going on. Yeah, and she's criticizing my emancipation, for example. But I think that for this kind of mentality, it's impossible to do anything. And for them, it's even a big danger to change their mentality. Just, I'm not sure they will be happy to wake up at the end of their life. Like you are about 90 years old and this is the very first time you realize what is going on about the whole situation. But those older women who are keeping themselves to be more actual, they really support women. And last year, when the revolution has started in Belarus, women so they contributed a lot. Their forces, their family happiness, their freedom, they really contributed a lot into the situation.
And that's I keep up thinking about the idea of all women with letters, not letters. It's
With posters, yeah.
with posters
Posters.
telling giving the younger generations of and apologize for
Yeah.
the passivity that they had in the back society. I mean, in the past society. It's shocking.
It's shocking.
Excuse me, I was thinking on the alcohol beverage that I was mentioning before. It was called rakia.
Rakia.
Do you used to have this type of?
No, mostly they make homemade. Usually we make homemade vodka from potato, bread, apples, sometimes from plums, rakia. Yeah, but it's not our part of culture. Mostly from potato and apples. And I wanted to tell a little bit more about elder women. Before revolution, I had so great ambitions just to go into this area of society and to work with elder women, older women, like 60 years old and bigger, with sexual education. For example, many of them have no idea about clitoris pleasure, and maybe their life will be more bright and happy the second part of the life. Or I had ambitions to create some clubs for them for singing, speaking, watching contemporary movies, contemporary dance shows, whatever. We have so many things to entertain older women, just to give them new energy of life, to open some new topics, new horizons. But now it's very difficult to do. It's impossible to work in Belarus in NGOs at the moment, because almost the whole country is in jail. And what concerns our older women, they are really surviving with small pensions. It's not like the life of a pensioner woman in Switzerland, for example, with jazz concert or relaxing journey to Iceland or to go to Alp snow. Mostly if you go to public places like bazaar, how do you call bazaar? Like the big
Bazaar.
market?
Yeah, it's bazaar.
You will notice many old women who are having bad clothes and they're just coming and touching the food, trying to find the cheapest one. It makes me cry, really. And all those old women are happy who became babushka, grandma, because in our post-Soviet mentality, this is the last breath for the life, for the female life. If coming to the end of life, maybe it's not very polite, but I'm talking like the last decade maybe of life, if we will take into account like we may live for 100 years old. So women in this age, they are integrated back into society if the lady is taking the role of babushka, the grandma. Okay, if you're a babushka, if you're a grandma, maybe you are useful for us again. But if you are not, just go and die how you want. Alone with small pensions. If you will have a look at the projects like, how do you call these houses for the old people without relatives, like the single grandpa, grandma? No, like the hospices or hospitals when they're living.
I know.
Yeah, so this, let's call it.
It's like a pension for old people.
Yeah, and it's looking like a prison. With very dirty walls, yes, old stuff everywhere, dirty, and those projects, they are not have finances from the government. Usually it's some small business is covering some expenses. So this is really terrible. I would never want my parent to go in this kind of institution. So the life of old people, old women is not beautiful in Belarus, to tell the truth. Those are lucky whose children can earn money somehow and to offer to an older woman once a year to go to Egypt or Turkey or something, just to see the world a little bit. But our people are very poor at the moment.
And the relationship between young people and old people?
It depends on family values.
Perfect.
I cannot say something like in general we have like that. It depends on the family values, of the style of communication inside of the family. So you may have many different scenarios.
I understand. Barbie, would you like to make a question? Francisco, can you open her? Perfect.
Okay. Hi, Maria. Hello, Maryna. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. I try again make my question in English, but maybe I follow in Spanish. I know somebody help me.
Si querés, Barbie,
sí.
si querés, me haces la pregunta y yo la puedo traducir para que Maryna la pueda.
La he escrito la pregunta.
Ah, bueno.
A ver si la encuentro.
No hay problema.
Pero bueno, había estado leyendo que el señor, si se le puede decir señor Luchenko, aduce ciertas cosas como que el 8 de cada 10 personas, ahí estamos. According to the results of the election of Luchenko, who expressed phrases such as "we are going to twist the necks of the opponent as if they were duck," who said the 8 out of 10 votes were the secret of his success. It is not credible, of course. How do you explain este escenario? ¿Cómo explicas este escenario hoy, en el 2021, cuando estamos mirando, todo el mundo está mirando lo que pasa en Bielorrusia, todo el mundo está mirando lo que le pasa a las mujeres de Bielorrusia? Esa sería mi pregunta.
Se trabó un poco en la última parte respecto a los...
Barbie pregunta, ¿cómo puede ser que a pesar de las exposiciones del presidente, cómo puede ser que mantengan toda esta estructura a pesar de que el mundo entero está viendo lo que sucede con Bielorrusia?
Claro, Maryna, how do you explain this scenario today in 2021 according to your eyes?
I didn't get in which scenario do you mean?
She is asking regarding the position that the actual president has in the Belarusian power in the government.
How is it possible that nowadays?
How can it possible? Yeah, I can explain how. Because during 26 years, Lukashenko was building his contact with police, military people, and those who are living in villages. People who are living in villages, very often they have not even school education, and it's very easy to come to them and to speak blah blah blah. I will give you more salaries. Like more means $5 plus, $5 above during the last 5 years. But in fact, psychologically, yes, the sum of money is raising. It's very easy to manipulate with people who have no education in politics, in business, and economics in anywhere. And that's why our our governmental education is also very old-fashioned. Like we are still having those programs from Soviet era when the whole world has changed. For example, when I was studying in Belarus, I graduated 2 educational institutions, the professional college, the university, and I thought, wow, I'm so clever. When I moved further and I've got my first master education in European Union, I was like, wow, what is going on? Because the difference was so huge. So it's very easy to manipulate with the society to which you give no access to the actual information. When the whole education is coming through the Soviet era. And that's my point. People with bad education, you just give them promises, they believe, and they are waiting, have disappointment, then you give promises again, they believe, and this is going on circle by circle. Military, police, and of course falsifications during the elections, like it was all the time. Every elections we had huge falsifications. When I was a bit younger, I was an independent, how to say, viewer, the person who is standing in the room where people are voting, like independent, I forgot the name, the word. So maybe Francisco, you will help me, or Barbara.
Yeah, the word that you're searching on, you're looking for,
yes.
is
like the independent person who can be at the process of voting when there are presidential elections, and I'm giving my independent point of view. I'm just checking how many people are coming, how many are going out, how many signs are made in the special forms. So like independent.
Yeah, they are companies. They are companies that what they do
las consultoras, yeah.
Yeah.
They're consultor companies.
Observer, independent observer, yes. And I saw many falsifications, and I was trying to report them. And every time when I was trying to report, I was just taking away my phone, all my papers, or just, oh, who are you? Go away. I was meeting huge scandals every time when I was trying to report falsification. And it is going from elections to elections. And Lukashenko is the genius of falsification. And it's very interesting how it works in society. People believe mass media so much. When you will show in internet like the obvious facts of falsification, when the people are, counting the votes, etc. People don't trust internet, but they will trust Lukashenko, who is coming, who is speaking from the state TV. Like, no falsification, I'm your leader, I'm your father, we're all in love, I take care of you.
Socialism works that way around the world.
Yeah.
The structure is the same. What they want is people not to have knowledge, not to have money enough to survive, but not to have nothing that outstands, and all the profit of the economy goes to their own. It's the way. The same is happening. The same is happening in Argentina. We have the same problem, and in a way, I can tell you that I see the Russian power and China too, that are very interested to make business with us under this general game chess.
Yes. So going back to your question, Barbara, Lukashenko is not a fool. He is a good player, yeah, and he knows how to keep his power, even at the moment when there are so many military people who just taking away, their badges and told in public on internet, like, it's enough for me, I'm not the policeman, I'm not military anymore, it's too hard for me. No, this man, he's crazy, he's not my government anymore. And even those amount of people was not so huge, because system knows the master. And now if you want to have a flat, to have a good salary, you are accepted to police to military, people with no education, people from bad families with alcohol abusement, with sexual abusement and so on, with domestic violence stories, with IQ which is very low, they are openly invited into military, and they are those policemen who are coming to the streets and doing terrible things to our people.
Okay. Well, Maryna, it is an hour 20 of our interview. It has been, I'm so pleased to have had the chance and time to make this interview to you and to share it with our people.
Thank you very much.
This interview has been recorded, and I will pass it through to you and to all the ladies in our group in order to share it and to support each other for the freedom of your people and to see what is going on other countries, that sometimes to have the support of other people who might have lived similar situations. It's positive.
Yes, thank you, Maria, so much. And I know that we were changing the date of our meeting, and thank you that you still found these resources to make it for us. Thank you very much. Sisterhood.
Thank you very much.
All of us, I wanted to say that I wish all of us to be free in our freedom of expression, freedom of human rights, freedom of access to information. I really want to be free and to have the free life for my baby daughter and to all of us. So when we will be old and happy to enjoy life full of freedom, let's work for this aim.
Let's work together. Thank you once again. I leave you up an enormous, a huge kiss for you, and see you soon.
See you. Have a good time. Have a good evening. In my country, in the Ukraine, it's almost 9:30 in the evening. So, but you are still having the meeting of the evening. Have a good time.
Thank you once again. Bye-bye. Have a good night.
Bye. Thank you.